Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the fifth public meeting, live virtual public meeting of the Trinidad Humanity Campaign. Thank you all for joining us. Um, as I said, this is our fifth public meeting. We have 15 scheduled before the local government election on August 14th. So we will go every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., right here on the YouTube channel. Um, right up until August 13th. So this is the second weekend, if you want to call it a weekend. We have three more weekends, so three more Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We hope that if you can appreciate what we say here, can find what we put forward to be reasonable, that you would share our videos, join us, encourage more people to view and listen to what we're about, what we stand for, who we are, and get to learn more about how we intend to bring this commitment of more dedicated representation and more qualified and transparent management of our resources. This is one of the main promises of the THC ever since we've been in or contesting elections, but especially now and again for this local government election 2023. So I don't have anyone with me at the broadcast to ask questions or prompt me into anything. So here we go again with another Soul meeting. I do encourage you during this broadcast, you're welcome to WhatsApp message or call us directly at 462-8870. Ask us some tough questions, learn a little more about us. Yesterday we went into very specific plans for the local government election and for our electoral districts. We went into the specific plans that we're putting forward as a mini manifesto, if you will, that we intend to deliver. At least I will, in my electoral district in Val St. Joseph, deliver to every mailbox and ensure that every household has a copy of these points and these commitments which we aim to bring to you. Because it's not something that I think you would have ever seen on anyone's manifesto or commitments towards any election, whether general or local government. And we will probably discuss again or reiterate some of them in this broadcast. But before I do so, I would like to encourage you, of course, when you find our flyers, please do read them. At the very least, read them, see what we're about, and call anytime. You're welcome to learn more about us. I want to discuss this afternoon first. I want to start off with a little bit about general governance, central and local. And, I've been looking at some of the news articles recently this week, and, I see a lot of fanfare happening regarding particular candidates within this local government election. Individuals with, I suppose, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, more popularity on the ground, maybe. So at some level. And I want to encourage you to please listen to what all your contesting candidates have to say regarding their plans for your electoral district. Remember, it's a local government election. No vote in this election is going to change the present sitting central government. This has to do only with the corporations and the councillor seats at the corporation, and of course the aldermen seats. So there's no chance of splitting the vote and making one large party win instead of the other, and all of this, sorry to say it, but what I regard as nonsense that I hear every general election. Because why do I say it's nonsense? Because as a student, a PhD student of criminology now, and as a individual interested and having always been interested in the study of political science, I also aim to further my academic studies in political science, but we won't discuss that now. This term splitting the vote to me is extremely undemocratic. It doesn't allow, it prevents people from the thinking and the understanding that there are many representatives, and this leads me back to some of the commentary that I've been reading on the articles within the media this week. And, it's still heavily, I do see a lot of people saying, oh, we need to put a new party. We need young people in governance. We need fresh mentalities, fresh faces. Do remember, fresh faces within the two large parties in terms of this election and new faces for councillors do not mean that they represent any different party. They still represent the two large parties, and they still have to do whatever those parties enforce. They have to vote what we call caucus voting, and they have to engage in their projects, according to what their party leadership says. We at the THC are our own party, right? We are therefore independent as a party and do not have to follow any of the larger parties. And that is why we believe that a vote for any new party in this election or any election would give more voice to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, right? Because you won't hear from us ever party over country and these types of sayings, which is, again, nonsense in our mind. This job is not about party and politics. This job is about service to the people, and this job is about service to the country. And I don't think that the majority of our representatives at this point really represent that ideal. And I'm sorry to have to feel that way. But there are, within the commentary, still a majority of the commenters saying, they're talking about one party over the next, that this one should win and that one is doing nonsense. And you're not hearing about any of the other contesting parties, which, I find sad because, again, I remind you that in our 2020 general election, we had 19 contesting parties. The electorate had a choice of 19 parties with various candidates to put into that seat of management of our resources. It's not a seat of power. Despise that word, elect us into power. Power? No, man. It's management. All right? This is what it is. Again, we elect a team of managers to manage the resources because all of us as owners of the country cannot manage. We have to elect a smaller team. That team is supposed to represent us for the best value for money for all our resources. It's supposed to bring more revenue to the country, not to the government, to the country, right, than is expended by the country, right? And so this electing us into power, no, elect into management, elect for what it is. Yeah. So unfortunately, in my mind, I do see a lot of the two-party mentality still being preserved, if you will, within our system. And I ask you again to please break out of that system. Right? I can't believe it. The loyalty we see in Trinidad and Tobago in the political arena, where the electorate is so loyal to any one of the two large political parties, is more loyalty than you see from some of the electorate in terms of their family and friends and relationships. It's they quicker betray someone close to them than betray their party. To the life of me, I don't understand it sometimes. And I want to ask you, Trinidad and Tobago, are you satisfied with the governance that you've gotten in the last 20 years, let's just say? Let's just use a little small chunk. 20 years. So more than one particular party. Are you satisfied with the governance that you have gotten? I've seen some comments. Normally I like to discuss in these meetings, particularly what we intend to do for you as the Trinidad Humanity Campaign. And we well covered that in the first 4 meetings, which are available for you to go see. And yes, we will get to that later in this meeting. But I was so upset and disappointed by some of the comments, that I don't understand. I saw a couple comments that we have great governance now. Do you all understand that governance affects every area of your life? That when you go to the hospital, right, the public hospitals, and you have to sit down for 10 hours to be seen, and then when you're seen, because the surgery is not emergency that you may have to do, right, you get a date for 6 months later. I've seen appendix surgeries. Appendixes could burst and kill people, right? I've seen appendicitis surgeries scheduled for 6 months down the line. You think that's the hospital's fault or responsibility? Yes, in part it's the hospitals, but they have to respond to the policy and the enforcement of the policy put before them. This is why we have a Ministry of Health and a minister of health. And I'm not against our minister of health or anything in any way. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about 20 years of governance. So different ministers and the same problems, right? What about crime? 1.5 million Trinbagonians in this country. There may be a lot more foreigners, well, not a lot more, but a substantial amount within that can be added on to that. But at about 1.5 million Trinbagonians in this country. And every single day in this country, we accept that one person will be taken out at random. And I have to say random because a number of us believe, because it hasn't hit close enough to home yet for some of us seem to believe that this consistent spate of homicides are only in the within gangs and within criminal elements, basically, and they're killing out each other, so it's okay. What? Read the papers, look at the news, so social media, home invasions, break-ins, car thefts, right? Businesses being broken into and robbed, and most of them have an element of violence and even homicide, right? And it's not affecting just any particular economic class of people, rich or poor. No, we've seen most recently that it's affecting people from every spectrum, richest to the poorest. Old ladies getting beat up and murdered in their homes. The wealthiest of families in the country getting held up at their homes when they're driving in the yard. So fortunate, we're very lucky for the sparing our life when it happens, because it's so rare these days in our country. This is the responsibility. Yes, the TTPS is an independent body, and the Commissioner of Police has a majority of responsibility for the movements of the TTPS and all that stuff. But as the PM has been correctly stating recently, the government has a major role to play in security and national security and country security. I mean, finally, and I think it's only because it's local government election time, unfortunately, but finally, we're seeing some movements in terms of the government with the police service. We've seen recently the request by the PM. I'm surprised the PM come out and talked about corruption in the police service, but as I said, it's election time, right? Because this same PM has defended the police service on numerous occasions. So I'm surprised the police service took it so quietly too. Yes, there were some complaints, but it happened. But we've been calling for this in our manifesto. I even saw one of the other popular political candidates in the election saying that, they challenge the PM to a polygraph test. Man, we've had polygraph testing for all politicians, all police, all customs, all coast guards, right? We've had that in our manifesto since 2010 and 15 and 20. And we've been the first to say in public for the longest while. I'm trying to take away from it. I'm just trying to let you know the track record of the Trinidad Humanity Campaign in this regard. Right? We've said in a number of occasions on the public media, meaning mainstream media, television interviews, radio interviews, that we definitely would all take polygraph tests before an election to show the electorate that we are who we say we are. And we've challenged on many an occasion every other politician in the arena to do such. I wonder if the particular candidate who's calling for this polygraph test for the PM and themselves at this point, if that individual is willing for every other member of his party to take that polygraph too, including those that they formed coalitions with. I'd be curious to see the results of that, and every member of the sitting government at the same time, because that's what's due to us as the citizenry and as the employers of the government of Trinidad and Tobago. We should have the right to know if the people we put in there are who they say they are and are doing the things they say they're doing. Because corruption is a funny thing in this country, right? There's a lot of ways to legally get away with corrupted activities because our laws are not as up to date as they should be, and our legislators seem to be dragging their feet for decades. Not days, not weeks, not months, decades on particular pieces of legislation that would make all the difference in the world, right? To the level of corruption that exists in the country. And it's so sad that every person that I speak to in this country seems to think that corruption is so ingrained that it must happen and that is a part of life. No, it's not a part of life, right? It's corruption. It is wrong. It is illegal. It is not the way to go. Yes, everybody in this country, we had a grease hand. No. I've never done it. I've never encouraged it. I walk out of a meeting in a particular country. I can't talk about the country, within the region, right? Where I saw a particular company approach a minister in their office, not Trinidad and Tobago, another country, just letting you know how I am, how I think. And this, I sat for an hour while this company presented their project plan to this particular minister in that regional government, and minister sat, said nothing. And when the presentation was done, all my guy did, the minister, is put his hand across the table and said, "What do you have for me?" I walk out the office. I couldn't believe it. I wasn't in a position at that time to tell the minister, "Yo, Mr. Minister, it's not even my country. If it was my country, I'd damn well do so. But it wasn't my country." All right, but I walked out. I'm not interested. I left anything to do with that company. I have no interest in putting myself in those positions. What is my track record? Some of you may know that one of my professional capacities, I am one of the most educated cannabis consultants in the world. So much so that I've been hired by most of the regional governments, did the job for free in Trinidad under the former AG, and have been responsible for the writing of the proposed primary and subsidiary legislation on decriminalization, medicinal cannabis, and even hemp and recreational or adult use cannabis in some countries. This has given me the experience that I have in working very closely with governments, ministers, attorney generals, and cabinets as a whole, right, and understanding a lot more about how governance works, and I'm very appreciative for that, right? But still, you end up seeing I have been able to, in that arena, I've seen a lot of potential corruption, and even right here, I've prevented a particular international company from gaining a monopoly structure in that industry in a number of countries that I've worked for. That company approached me right here in the Hyatt in Trinidad and Tobago in 2019, right, and offered the equivalent of 150 million TT dollars over the course of 3 years to, if I put within the regulations, after confirming that I was the regulator under the AG's office at the time, right? They offered me that amount of money to put within the regulations, one clause that would end up giving their company and their friends within this country a monopoly or oligarchy system over that industry. And I refused them before they could blink their eye. They had to ask again, and I told them, "Stop, let me repeat to you, or let me explain to you what you're offering." And I explained to them just as I explained to you just now. And they said yes, and I said no. And they said, "Well, why?" I said, "Because it's wrong. You can't, listen, come like, I don't like to call the brands, but come like a particular brand of fried chicken in our country that everybody seems to love, right? And outcompete everyone else. Do better than everybody else, right? But don't block people and tell people you can't fry chicken, only we fry chicken." That's wrong. And I refused them, and I'm not wealthy. I could do with the money, right? And friends and family around the world have told me, "Why didn't take the deal? Then after the 3 years, you could have the money and you could do what you want with it, all your charity stuff, all your political stuff, all your aspirations." Blood money? No. And I have no regrets. Mind you, that particular clause still ended up in our legislation, not by my hand. And I am still fighting to get it out of there. So anyway, that is who I am. I can't be bought. I can speak for me. I can't speak for anybody else. I can't even tell you for the other members of my party. When they speak to you, you ask them that question and let them tell you, right, who they think they are, and let them explain to you. But I can tell you, for me, I cannot be bought. I have no interest in money and finances. That's not what I'm about. I just keep my money in my look. I'll show you so you'll understand. I don't even keep a wallet. This is how my money is be in my pocket. Money is tear pounding on me sometimes, right? Because I don't have no respect for it, and you'll never find me taking this money and putting it numbers on one side and birds and putting it in order and order. I don't give that level of respect to money. Maybe that's why I don't have a lot of it, but I'll never let that run my life. That is my core beliefs. That is my principles. That's who I am. I don't expect anybody to ascribe to what I believe, but I'm telling you who I am. And this is why I believe that I personally would make an excellent option or choice for leadership in this country, because I cannot be bought, and I will not allow corruption to pass in front of me. That is who I am. And I will change this country for the better. if given the opportunity. So I continue to try. And even until that point, I will not become daunted by not winning. Failure is a part of success. If you have never failed, you've never really succeeded, in my opinion. And it is better to try and fail than fail to try. Those are things that I live by, right? That's who I am. So no amount of commentary, no amount of anything can put me down in my goal to make my country the best country that I can live in. That's who I am. That's what I'm about. So again, back to the little commentary and the stuff, right? I don't think that, it amazes me that people seem to be satisfied with the level of governance that they've gotten so far. It amazes me that we as a people can accept that we have this level of homicide rate in our tiny country, right? And I mean, I don't wish it on anybody, but I don't let it reach home before you start realizing that things need to change and that the government needs to do something. Again, finally, we're seeing the PM talking about organizing to work with the national security apparatus, meaning the regiment in this case, to combine with the police again back on patrol routes, which is something we've put forward to them on letters. We've asked them to do what they've done in the Summit of Americas in 2009 and put regiment officers with police and police vehicles in every intersection of the East-West corridor, just like they did in 2009. And the results should be the same that we got in 2009, which was a massive decrease in serious crimes, because you've done what all the research and practice shows. You've increased police presence and visibility highly, and that in itself heavily deters criminal activity. So we're thankful for any increase that we're seeing now, both in the increase of the citizenry confidence in the officers through the vetting processes, and uh, hopefully less criminal activity induced by increased presence and visibility of police. So again, we've called for it a long time. We're seeing it. We've put forward letters to the Minister of National Security, to the Commissioner of Police, to the Prime Minister. We've gone through all official and unofficial methods. I've spoken to the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner of Police directly and relayed particular proposed policies to them that I think that can work, which again comes back to that increased presence and visibility and that stuff. And they've heard. So I've done my job in that regard. So now we're finally happy to see some of that coming to pass. Of course, if we had the option, we would have gotten these things done a long time ago, and we wouldn't wait till an election time to start talking about reduction of crime. We would have stuck with it, and that's what we're about. But anyway, coming back from that point, I just want to iterate for those who would not have heard before our particular plans, because I'm sure if we have any new listeners today or viewers, they would probably be asking themselves at this point, this guy talking about crime in the country, and sure, some of the things he's saying making sense, but what is he going to do if we elect him as a councillor in a little tiny electoral district? Because he has no, in that position, does not have any availability to manage the national security apparatus or to change any level of policing in the country. True. So what we intend to do within our electoral districts, if elected, is to bring down those plans a little bit, or shrink them into concise and complete methods to deal with crime reduction within the electoral district itself. And this is usually where you might see other parties stop. So we go fix it and we go deal with it and we will address it, because we go use municipal police and we go this. No, let me tell you in detail how we intend to fix this. I will use, for an example, my electoral district of Valsay and St. Joseph, right? In my electoral district, the St. Joseph police station is responsible for the policing of this electoral district. And one of the things I think we can do three things. The first thing I think we can do is not think. First thing we will do, because I know we can do it. It is under our remit as councillors, if elected, and it's just that no one's done it before for God knows what reason, but it needs to be done. We will work with the St. Joseph police station, their supervisors, their heads, through the Commissioner of Police and everything else, everything with proper permission, to try to develop better patrols, better routes, more dedicated everything in terms of patrols. I ask you to hold 1 second and let's see if this call is someone calling in from the show or not. Hello, good afternoon. Sorry, I'll have to call you back on the time, but in a meeting. Thanks. Was not someone from the show. So yeah, we intend to talk to the station and deal with them and work with them, right, to try to help them develop better patrol routes, better patrol times, more dedicated patrols. Maybe some areas within the community might need more patrols than others. And what would have the effect of doing is increasing the same thing I discussed just now for the country. This would increase the presence and visibility of the police in the electoral district, right, at a smaller level, because you have the more patrols and all that. And it would also it would decrease the response time of the police to calls, right, for emergencies and so, because for the most part they wouldn't have been in the station having to come out and gear up and move. They would have already been on patrol, right? In that regard, we'll deter crime from that perspective. The second point we want to commit to is using the finances from the corporation. Right now, people have asked me, where the money coming from? And the corporation already strained. Don't corporations always say, oh, we don't have enough money? Well, okay. So let's give you the proper example now. Tanapuna Piapa Regional Corporation is normally allocated somewhere about $220 to $270 million a year, and that's with the supplemental allocations also. That's their general budgetary allocation, right? From that, they constrain. Cool. The Ministry of Finance has said that starting now, soon, the corporations will collect the residential property taxes from the corporation, the houses, the residences within the corporation, and that monies will go to the corporation. He's explained that corporations like Tanapuna Piaco, being one of the larger corporations, can receive anywhere between $50 to $60 million extra per year. Right, that represents 20 to 25% increase on the budget. Right, that's not even, you don't even see an allocation like that when you ask for a supplemental allocation on the budget. So that's a huge increase of the finances. We propose to utilize from those extra resources for some of the plans and projects that we are committing to, right, and aim to achieve if elected. So back to what we'll do with that money. We would like to set up an operations center. We have the National Operations Center in the city that deals with the camera systems around on the highways and all that stuff and monitors, right? So let's set up an operations center at the St. Joseph police station. What we do it, buying 4 monitors for them, 40, 50, 60 inch, whatever, right? 4 hard drives, about 10 terabytes each, should more than cover it. Even if you need a couple more, they're not that expensive. 2 laptops also to run the system, and 100 cameras, right? Now, these 100 cameras is not cheap cameras. We're talking about night vision cameras, outdoor cameras, cameras that could take weathering, cameras that could pan and zoom, cameras that could properly identify and have detailed, high resolution, basically, to be able to identify individuals and faces better than others. So we're talking about high quality cameras, right? So let's repeat that. 4 monitors, large monitors, 4 10 terabyte hard drives, 2 laptops to run the system, 100 extremely high definition cameras, extremely high quality cameras, and put those cameras at every entrance and exit to different roadways, going into the residence areas, going into commercial areas, along, because it's a very small electoral district there. And all the police has to do, the St. Joseph Station, is reorganize a little bit and have one or two of their people deal with the monitoring aspect of it. And this is something the TTPS, have been calling for a long time, well over a decade, and have not found yet, apparently, the fiscal responsibility or the fiscal resources, to engage in such projects at the level of the stations. It's been done, as I said, at the national level. So if we're able to do that, what will it do? It'll reduce crime, because now the criminal elements know that the routes they take in, the vehicles they use in, their faces, right, where they're coming out from, where they're going to, all these things can be identified, aiding in better policing, right, better detection, easier to make convictions, right, so increase the conviction rate and all that stuff, because you have better evidence, right, and it will deter crime, because they will realize that it's more risk to them to commit a crime in these areas than outside, right? And we will have essentially secured our electoral district. Now imagine, now, before I go there, how much you think that plan will cost? 2 million, 3 million, 10 million, Marcus? Because that is what we are accustomed seeing when we hear about government contracts to the tune of what you're talking about. My friends, if I bought everything retail in Trinidad, retail, and got the maintenance contract to go with the camera systems and everything else, it'll cost us about 200,000 TT dollars. 200,000 TT dollars. 20% of 1 million. How? Because there's a real cost, there's a real cost associated with such. Imagine, if you will. First, imagine that. Imagine that you're driving about Val St. Joseph electoral district and have cameras everywhere, and you feel a lot secure and safer to park your car, to leave your vehicle, right? You know that even within your residential areas, the roads that leading up to your house, there's a camera on the corner. So we know we have the ability to see every vehicle that enter that road. So if a crime is committed, right, we have the ability to go back now through the recordings and see what vehicle where, see, okay, this vehicle came out this road and went left. Then we watch the next camera on the next corner and see if he went left or right and follow that vehicle to where they're going. Now imagine, if you will, my friends, 1,000 cameras in this little electoral district. Not 100. 1,000 cameras. It'd be like England. There wouldn't be any way that you could go that you wouldn't be seen. And we need this at this time. I had an interview the other morning on CNC. The interviewer, J.W. Blaze, very good interviewer, started asking the question, well, what about police state and all that? That's not a police state. There's monitoring. There's not a policeman in every corner with big guns. And that is a police state. Militarization and arming and putting armed police at every corner is police state. But monitoring? Is England a police state? Of course not. But it's safe. Right? It's safe. Feel very safe walking around the streets of England in the night time and everything, because the criminal element fears to commit crime in that environment because it's easier for them to be seen, right? So this is what, so imagine, my fellow citizens within Val St. Joseph, 1,000 cameras. There'd be no crime. Now, I'm not committing to no crime, but there'd be committing to such a drastic reduction in crime, no one would believe it. How much would that cost? Less than $1 million TT dollars. Retail bought here in Trinidad with service and maintenance contracts. How? Because that's the actual cost. Just pick up your phone and call any one of these retail businesses and say, listen, I want these things. I want 4 big monitors. I want 4 10 terabyte hard drives. I want 2 laptops. I want 1,000 of your best cameras. What's the cost? A lot less than $1 million. Mm-hmm. Check it out. When we do this, and some of the other plans we have, we will then be able to put to the other councillors in the other corporations and the central government the question: if we are able to do this and engage in this anti-crime activity, crime reduction activity to this extent within our electoral district, it only cost us $1 million, right, TT? Why can't the country, through central government, why doesn't the central government then, in seeking to reduce crime in the country, engage in this program in every local electoral district? 141 of them. And 141 million TT dollars later, we're safe to reduce crime to such an extent. So this is what we will do in our electoral district, and lead by example and push that example towards the rest of the country. We'll do it here first. And you know what? I'm so excited about that particular plan that I've decided that whether elected or not, I wish I'd thought about it before, to start doing it before, but I do believe that people should pay taxes to the country, not the government, to the country. And the government elected to manage those monies should then come back to the country and say, listen, we want the businesses in Trinidad, corporate Trinidad, to buy laptops. What are we paying taxes for? You're not managing it properly, or what's going on? So I don't like the idea of it. But in this case, if not elected, I'm committing myself to try to gain that financial support from the electoral district, businesses and residences, I will come and start asking, right? We at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign will transparently manage the collections, as which every political party is allowed to do. And we will, but except we'll do it transparently. You know where your money went, right? And we'll do the same thing. We'll work with the police station. Now, if I'm not a counselor, it gives me less official capacity to work with the police and to try to work with the commissioner and all these things. That's what we're hoping to get the counselor position for, right? All of our 4 candidates that's running at this point in time. But even if not, I'm going to try for my electoral district to get this financial support from the community and try to at least get that 100 camera system in place. Because again, once we could show the actual cost of it, we can still petition government. Why we're not doing it? Ask the question, why not do this everywhere else? Right? So this is one of the most major aspects of the crime plan that we have, and we think it could bring, fabulous results, amazing results to this country that we've never thought about seeing before. Third and final point on crime and dealing with crime in our electoral district would be to use the same finances, and at the same time, while we're reducing crime and the criminal activity, seek to restore the electorate, the citizenry confidence in the TTPS station that services them, the St. Joseph station, by purchasing for that station. Again, things that the TTPS has called for and hasn't had the resources to be able to get and achieve. Purchase for them all the body cameras and vehicle cameras that they need, right? All the charging stations, give everybody 2. So nobody can complain it couldn't be charged, it couldn't be anything. Because only a few officers and a few vehicles at the station, right? And set it up in a way whereby once they're on duty, they have to use the system, right? Just as the TTPS has said they would have engaged in. Give them a jump start, if you will, right? But we will be able to show the actual cost. So when we show, well, look, these amount of cameras and all this stuff costs X amount, how come when twice that amount, 3 times that amount went to another station under central government contract, it actually costed 100 times that amount? That maths in. That don't make sense, right? We could start showing the public now the actual cost of things and getting better value for our money from everybody in elected positions, because now we have the opportunity we will have the opportunity then, to show them what the actual cost is and to show the public. The public will then start to realize, well, wait, something that costing $10,000 and the government charging me $1 million, what's going on here? And this man proved it costing $10,000, same model, same everything, same, all contracts is the same. So this is what we're looking at, right? And at the same time, we made sure that all the vehicles are outfitted with GPS systems so that the station can know where all their police vehicles are at any time. That's an important factor to reduce potential corruption at the police level, right? All these things we can do in St. Joseph Valsine, and we can ensure that our communities within this electoral district are extremely safe, that the police are operating efficiently and transparently, and within at least our little space, we could have a better quality of life and start pushing that to central government. So it brings me back to my original question to you earlier. Are you satisfied? Because, look at the plans I just laid out to you. To me, yeah, they're innovative, but they're also very simple. These are not, things that the THC members sat down and thought about because we're brilliant or geniuses or anything like that. Of course not. We're brilliant. Don't get us wrong. But at the same time, these are plans that are being used in other countries regularly. This is part and parcel of regular policing, So these are not our ideas. These are not new ideas, right? We just think that these ideas and these plans and policies should now be applied in our country as they're being done in different parts of the world and seeing great results, right, through both the research and the practice. And start making us a safer community. So I'm not satisfied. I am not satisfied with the last 20 years of governance. I am not satisfied with the last 20 years of policing. I don't feel safer in my country than I did a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 or 10 years ago. I simply don't, right? I still have to ensure that all our gates are locked up, and I have to check at night and all these things. We had a break-in the other night, right? Somebody jumped the wall and was breaking into the car. It wasn't we're guessing is a small time thief, what we like to call pipers in Trinidad, because the way he jumped back through that garbage bin like an acrobat was incredible. So, but it happens, and it reaches home, and that could have been, so many illicit guns in the country right now, right? And of course, we have plans for the country to start reducing those in a a real sense, but that's if elected into central governance. We don't have that ability in local governance realistically. We can only do what we can do, and we do think that the ideas and the proposals and the policies and the projects that we aim to bring through the local government, through the local governance, and through the council seat and position uh, can have far-reaching positive consequences on the on the governance of the entire country eventually, because then we will have a position of authority to be able to speak with central governance and the public and put forward everything. Don't know how many of you that are viewing now or will be viewing after the live broadcast is finished know that one of our main messages, outside of all those plans I just gave you for dealing with crime specifically in our community, one of our main messages is and another thing, another part of our plan that we're extremely excited about. And we're not excited because we bring in this, we've been talking about this for 13 years in our manifestos. We're excited at the possibility to actually do it and then say, but look, if we did it here at the council level, why aren't you doing it at the corporations level, at the other corporations and ours and others? And why aren't you central government doing it at the central government level? We intend to bring a level of transparency that no other government on the planet, as far as I can research and find, has ever engaged in. We intend to show you, the electorate, every part of our job. From the time we go to say we live on YouTube here, I love it, right? The technology is amazing these days. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to record live, right? Our job. And just like right now, we have just a few viewers on the live. Later on, tomorrow, next few days, people will watch the video and see what happened yesterday, day before. Same opportunity you will have. Everything will be recorded live from the minute we go to work in the mornings till the time we come back in the evenings or nighttime or anything like that, right? Everything. And when I say everything, I mean every expenditure, every revenue, every project cost, every contract, every receipt and invoice will be scanned and put on our website. You, the electorate, will have the ability to see everything we see. You know why? Because you are electing us to represent you. And we believe, now we understand if it's a national security something, topic or point of anything, then okay, maybe that, not maybe, that then can't go publicly to the population. But at the corporation level, we don't deal with any issues of national security. So as far as I understand, I can show you everything, meetings, everything. So when the important question is, well, Marcus, if we elect you and your other candidate in Tinapuna, so 2 out of 16 councillors, we put you all in the position of councillor in Tinapuna, Piarco Regional Corporation. What you're going to do, I mean, any projects and stuff, you'll get quickly outvoted by any larger group of councillors that represent any particular party. Yes. What will we do? Let me give you the real live example. If in a situation we find that there's a project to be done by a private contractor, we'd hope, first of all, to push most of the work from the corporation, because the corporation does have the resources to do most everything. But there are projects that go to private contractors. So we're saying that if a project has to go to a private contractor and we come back and say, well, look, the THC candidate, the THC councillors has identified a contractor from within the community that is qualified, has the necessary equipment and has the necessary experience, everything, right? Qualified at all levels to do the job, and they've offered to do the job for $2 million. Let's take a vote on it. And we're 2 councillors out of 16. And the other 14 councillors, let's say they represent one party, right? And they all have to therefore, they all have to vote together, not in our party. In THC, my candidate can vote different from me. We each have our own minds, right? So they all have to vote together, and they vote, well, no. We found this larger group of councillors. We found a qualified, experienced, and person with the equipment and everything, person within the community that willing to do the job for $10 million. And we say, but no. The same job, same level of qualification, same experience, same amount of equipment. And we have a contractor to do it for $2 million. You all want a contractor to do it for $10 million. We costing the taxpayer $8 million more for the same job. And they say, well, okay, well, let's vote on it. And we vote on it. And of course, 10 votes are more than 2, right? And their project, meaning they give the project to the contractor who says 10 million as opposed to the contractor who says 2 million, right? What can we do? We're not just going to go and sit back and say, shucks, we didn't get the best value for money for the people. No, we're going to show you what was done. If we can't film in the meeting, you won't even get the minutes of the meeting. You'll get the seconds of the meeting. We will tell you which party or which councillors made what decision, right? And how many voted, at least how many voted on what, and the topics and the issues. So you will see that this party voted on that councillor for 10 million as opposed to voting on who we might have suggested for 2 million, and thereby spending $8 million more of the people's money. What will that do? It'll force their hand. That's all. It'll force their hand because they won't be able to engage in that level of mismanagement again, knowing full well that everybody is going to see their actions, right? Because those things can then be taken to court. They're in a management position. Mismanagement is wrong, right? That's the opposite of what they're supposed to be doing. So we will force their hand. Ooh, that rain is very loud. I apologize if it's affecting the audio. Let me move a little closer. We will force their hand, and for lack of a better phrase, we will embarrass them into doing the right thing, because now they will know that all their actions that were normally kept secret from the public are now right there for everybody to see. Once we engage in that level of transparency, which I believe and we at the THC believe is real transparency, right? You don't have to film everything you do, right? Central government. Let me talk to central government for a moment. You have to film everything you do, You have to film your whole life like a video, like what we committed to. We using the extreme to promote the ideals, right? But what you definitely need to do in this day and age is have a website put up where every project cost is broken down to the level of every receipt and every invoice. So we know you didn't pay $10,000 for a hammer, that you paid the actual cost for a hammer, for example, right? This is what needs to be done. And this day and age of technology, there's no reason why that cannot be effected. So if it hasn't been done so far, we at the THC aim to lead by example, put these types of policies and projects forward, engage in these types of activities, and then push that idea to central government through the public, through the mainstream media. You ever hear about that? A council will have such a field day with the media, right? Look, this council in Tinapuna Piato has done this party has done this with transparency, and now they're asking the government the question, why isn't it being done at central government level? Why isn't this level of transparency not being put forward to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, when we, the employers of you, the government, deserve it? So we're proud of it. We're proud that we have the mentality to think in the right way. We're proud that we have the ability, well, we hope, not proud, but we're proud to hope to have the ability to get into the position, elected into the position, to bring this type of commitment to you in practice, and to hopefully be able to use that position to send that message to central government to have them do better. All our elected persons in those positions, have them do better by showing them, look, somebody is doing it. A shame that somebody else doing it and you are not doing it, when you have the capacity, a much bigger party, a much more resources to work with, and you're not doing it. Why? So these are the things we're looking at. We're also looking at food security and job creation. We discussed that yesterday. Maybe we'll go into it tomorrow. And of course, you're all welcome to view the videos that we've posted anytime and see what we've discussed. If anybody wants to call in with any questions or comments, you could use the comment section on the YouTube right here. You could call us at 462-8870 in and out of the program, right? Outside of the broadcast, I believe that if we are elected to represent you, then we should be available to you 24/7. I am extending that offer to before being elected, right, whilst we're campaigning. And I'm available to you as a representative of all our candidates in the party 24/7, 462-8870. All right. I mean, be reasonable, but you're welcome to, because that's the job, that's the position. All right. The position requires that level of service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't think that our predecessors, the persons elected into that position before us, have been taking that seriously enough. Right, so ask you again, when you listen to I've asked you to listen to your potential councillors or the candidates that are contesting. I've asked you to listen to what they have to say. I've asked you to not just jump up for joy when they identify the problems, but ask them what are the detailed solutions they're going to use to fix it, and when, how soon, everything. Ask, right? Because they're supposed to know this stuff. And don't get mama guy and don't get chain up because we're Trinbagonians, right? We're intelligent adults as far as I know. We're fast thinking as Trinbagonians, right? Don't eat the chain up and don't take the mama guy. Right? Don't let that happen. You must know when somebody mama guy in you. Oh well, yes, we know the problem. We see it this time. Boy. As soon as we get in there, we go and fix it. Why then hasn't your party, if it's a new face for candidate, because they do that a lot, they change the candidates a lot, but of course the party is the same. Why then hasn't your parent party, the party that is putting you to run as candidate, why then in the last X number of years has this problem still been existing and you all didn't fix it then? What would be the difference to make you fix it now? Oh, well, of course, so come on, be real, be reasonable, understand what's really going on. And please lend your vote to those potential representatives that really have the issues in heart and have detailed solutions as to how to address them. Elect those representatives that can potentially bring the biggest positive change to your communities because you live there. Your parents, your children, your families, your loved ones. We need to start making changes. And if we can only do it at the electoral district community level, let's do it. Let's start and let's do it. Right? Let's not wait for the general election again. Let's do it and let's show and let's lead by example. Right? We ask for your support and we ask for your support to all the other parties that are not the two large parties. Right? I have said that we are all for alliances and coalitions, and we do think that is the way to go forward in governance. Right? We did not have the ability to do so in this local government election, but one of the things we'd like to inform you, just because of what we've seen in the media today, is that we would never, I don't want to say never because maybe it might be strategic at some point. We say they call a general election by Christmas time. What do you think we should do? So that's what I mean. Strategy in politics, get in there. Once you can get in there, you can make the changes. The point is to get in there. Otherwise, you can't make the changes. All right? So, but we would not ordinarily support any party or individual that has been in that elected position before and has not utilized that position to the best of their ability and have not done the most that they could for the country, for the communities that they represent. This is what we believe. So I'm seeing a lot of what I like to call recycled politicians. I don't like to call names, and we don't campaign by bringing down any other party. You'll never find us talking bad in particular about a party or individual issues, sure, but the party or individual. But I am seeing that what I like to call a lot of recycled politicians are being used, and we're not for it because, again, you've had the chance before and you didn't do what you're supposed to do. I'm not saying you didn't do anything, but you certainly didn't do what you're supposed to do or could have done. And the electorate is supposed to give you a chance again with the hope that you would do something different. Well, I'm here to tell the electorate that they're more different, qualified, and dedicated and willing people to do the job. And I ask you this local government election again. You're not splitting the vote. 16 councillors in Tinapuna alone, Tinapuna Piafa alone. You're not going to split the vote from any party. You're not going to undermine any party by voting a new party. And all you're going to do is make a statement to central government and to the opposition to say, look, we think you're not doing the job to the best of your ability. We're willing to put somebody from our next party if you don't start to buck up. Use us and send a message. Right? The government is not going to change after this local government election. That's not how elections work. Right? So let's start thinking reasonably, people. Let's start thinking logically, right? Listen to the candidates, listen to the solutions, ask the hard questions, and let's see if we could get some people to make real changes within our communities, within our electoral districts. Yeah, we at the THC are here. We stand for you. We stand willing to represent you. We stand willing to make all the changes. We stand willing to do everything in our power, not be subordinate to any higher authority of governance, because if we're elected, we have the ability and the mandate to represent you and to engage in proper management of those resources, right? Let us show you, let us, the THC, let us show you what is possible. Give us a chance this local government election and let us show you what is possible, what can be done, right? We will stick to our commitments, and you will, we give you the opportunity to reach us at all points. If we do, if let's put it this way, folks, right? If we get elected into that position of management and then start to be lackadaisical like everybody you've seen before, if that happens, which we promise and commit that will not happen, what you're losing? Because that's usually the case with anybody from the two large parties anyway. To give somebody else a chance to see if they will actually say, if they'll actually do what they're saying, right? Put their money where their mouth is, if you want to put it that way, right? And engage in the commitments that they are making to the people of Trinidad and Tobago and to the electorate from their various and respective electoral districts. And look at the plans we have. Look at how we intend to actually address crime properly and particularly actually address transparency, food security, job creation. I mean, far less for the general maintenance jobs that we're supposed to do with your roads and your drains and your waterways and all these things. Far less for that. They have innovative solutions there. For those who didn't hear, you want to bring in a couple of those small equipment, those robotic remote control things that could go into the sewers and start cleaning itself instead of sending a man down there once a year. They'll be sending a machine down there once a month. So a lot of opportunities to see better governance, to see better representation than you've ever seen before, right? THC is one of those options, definitively, right? But I do ask you in all fairness to listen to all of your candidates, even those from the large parties, right? Listen to what they have to say and do just, we're not coming with no jerseys and no nothing to give you. We're not spending money like that. If we had it to spend it like that, we're not doing it. That's not the type of campaigning we choose to engage in, right? A guy's a former mama guy for us, and gifting and all these things. That's mama guy in people, right? That's not what governance is supposed to be about. That's not what campaigning is supposed to be about. All of these things are supposed to be about serious management of the people's resources, serious management of the country's resources. Once again, because I've said it before, you will never see us on a music truck coming in your area and encouraging you to dance and move and all these things, while we'll vote for us and vote the THC. Never. Because governance and campaigning should not be about entertainment and entertaining. You have entertainers for that. You have parties for that. This is a political party, not a fete party, not a party. We wish to see that level of campaigning stuff. And just to remind you, that level of campaigning cost hundreds of millions of dollars, right? 100 million, and 150 million respectively for the two large parties in 2010. That's the last time they published it because it's not legal. Yeah. And this is what continues to go. Remember, a printed jersey, a printed color jersey like what you see, right, is about $100 at the cheapest, right? A full color flyer is about $4 for one. A one-page ad in the newspaper is $35,000 to $50,000 per day. A 1 hour broadcast and mainstream television is well over $100,000 per broadcast. Why are these people not taking that money and building more health centers or outfitting the health centers better, finishing accident and emergency centers within the health centers so people don't have to run to the hospital for that? Because, of course, accident and emergencies can happen at your home, right? Why are they not buying more ambulances so we don't have to rent out ambulances for exorbitant rates, right? And then say, look what we did with the money. Why is always a fete and a party and a give you a jersey and a eat our food? I think there's ulterior motives and reasons behind that, but I wouldn't discuss it now. I want you to start thinking for yourself, though, because you're intelligent-minded people. Yeah? These things, in my opinion, needs to stop. We need to get more serious about governance, more serious about our representatives, and more serious about actual voting. I've seen a lot of persons in the commentary and the mainstream media articles stating that, oh, we're not voting. Two large parties doing chippiness, so in our opinions, in their opinions, so they're not voting. There are a number of other parties and a number of other representatives in this local government election. Please listen to what we have to say and then decide whether you want to cast your vote for us or not. But do listen to what we have to say. Do seek the information and seek to be informed. Otherwise, you're making uninformed decisions. And that is never the way to go. Trinidad and Tobago, I thank you for your time. I thank you for your patience and your consideration of us. I thank you for your listening and again, generally your time this evening, because I know you do have to, and we do definitely appreciate it. Do look out for us. We will be walking around our constituency starting this week. We're starting with, because it's election time, most of the printers and all that to do the flyers that we want to do and all that stuff booked up, and we also try to get cheapest rate, so we have to wait until they're able to give it to us, which will be during this week. So starting at the end of this week, you should start seeing us and walking around. Do look out for us if you want to meet us. Remember, we're not coming to give you anything, and we do apologize for it. We unreservedly do apologize for it. Right? We're coming to tell you what we intend to do if elected councillor, what we can do, right, and discuss serious governance. Use the opportunity. Meet us, talk to us, right? Hear what we have to say, and please, if you receive one of our flyers in your mailbox, please read it. Please seek our social media, Facebook page and Instagram page, Trinidad Humanity Campaign, and join us here every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. We will do our live virtual public meetings, right? Straight up until August 13th. Right, this is public meeting number 5, or this has been public meeting number 5. We have 10 more to go, right? Share, tell your friends, right? Share it on YouTube, share it on WhatsApp, share it on Facebook. Please, let's get some more people to hear and become informed as the potential other choices within the country and potential other ideals and solutions for issues in the country. Because even if it's not us, at least you, the people, will know that there are these solutions, and we can start pushing these solutions to central government. Thank you again for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Please join us tomorrow on Sunday and the rest of the weekends right here. Same THC time, same THC channel. And I thank you for your time again. Have a good night. We see you tomorrow.